All right, guys, we're here to our goal setting, and you should see a document down below. I want you to click on that, and I'm going to want you to print it out. But right now, you can just look at it on your computer. You definitely need to print it out because you need to file this. This is very serious that you take this part of the course serious. So go ahead and just pull it up right now, and I've got it pulled up as well. It's called goal setting. So first things first, I want you to take a minimum of 60 minutes distraction-free with this. So distractions are what kill us, guys. Like, you cannot have your phone ringing, you cannot have your WhatsApp open, you cannot have your Facebook open. Like, that is basically what cuts us. It's like 1,000 little cuts that we end up never getting anything done. And we'll talk more about that later on in the course, but you really have to be able to focus. So I would encourage you to shut yourself in the room, turn off your phone, put your phone out in the other room, and just focus in on this, because this is your future. And this is you setting your map, your plan, your action towards your future. And it's really, really important. So 60 minutes set aside. And then we want to go into what type of goals we want you to set. So SMART goals, you guys, maybe you've heard this before. It's an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Now, I'm not going to go into each one of those on the video, but you can see, they're fairly self-explanatory, but you can also see what they mean by just looking at the sheet of paper there as well. And then after that, we're going to start with why. Guys, this is your purpose. So this is like your big reason for doing it. Like, not so much even multifamily. Well, it is your reason for doing multifamily, but it's bigger than multifamily. It's not like, this isn't, the reason here wouldn't be to get 1,000 units. That's going to come later. But why do you want the 1,000 units? Well, I want the money. Okay, what do you want the money for? Maybe it's for freedom. Maybe it's for your children. Maybe it's for to pay for your retirement. Whatever it is, you really need to nail down this purpose. And a lot of people struggle with this because they're like, oh my gosh, like, if I name the purpose of my life, it gives me anxiety. Like, what if I'm wrong? Like, what if I miss my purpose? And I can resonate with that because I've renamed my purpose multiple times. And that's what I want to tell you guys. Like, you're better off setting a point in the future and going towards it, which is your purpose, than you are by not setting anything, right? Because if you don't set any purpose at all, you're that guy in the boat that shoots out into the ocean and just starts going in circles, like with no rudder. Or you're the airplane pilot that goes up there and is just like, huh? Well, I mean, I kind of know what I want, but I'm afraid to actually commit to one thing. So it's, so you have to actually commit to a purpose today, right now, during this exercise, and you have to be willing to write it down. Now, that being said, your purpose can and should change over time. So, and your goals will too. So just revisit this. This is why I need you to print this piece of paper out, so you can revisit it and see if you want to change it. So that should take away some of your anxiety towards creating this purpose today. Like, it might not feel perfect, but it should feel good for you. So create something today that feels good, that is the reason why you came to this course, the reason why you paid to be in Multifamily Accelerator, the reason why you got started in multifamily, and decide what that purpose is. Get really, really clear on it, drill down on it, and go ahead and list that out on the sheet there. I want you to actually write it on the sheet and print it out when we get done. Next, we're going to go into our multifamily goals. So the good news about the multifamily goals is the short-term goals, you've got that taken care of by joining Multifamily Accelerator. For the next 8 weeks, I'm going to basically hold your hand through all these steps so that you know exactly what to do. As long as you take the actions, your short-term goals are going to be taken care of. But what I want you to do right now is set your long-term goals, your 5-year, 10-year, and lifetime goals of what you want to achieve in multifamily. So what that looks like is 2 different variables: AUM, which stands for assets under management, and units. Now, don't get too worried about having the exact amount of, like, oh, well, if it's 1,000 units, it should be this much AUM. Guys, think of it either way. Either way is fine, and just, if whatever goal you like that makes more sense to you, if you just want to pick one or the other, that's fine too. But I want you to kind of have an idea that they're 2 different things, right? Like, somebody could have 1,000 units in a really poor area, and that would only maybe be like, 20 million AUM. Someone else could have 1,000 units, and that could be like, 100 million AUM. So you may want to think about, if it were me, I think the more important goal is actually assets under management than it is number of units. But the reason I left the units on there is a lot of people are thinking about, I just want to have 1,000 doors, man, or I want to get to 500 doors, or I want to do this in this amount of time. That's totally fine. Don't feel like you have to do both AUM and units, but pick one or the other. And if you want to do both, that's great too. So go ahead and put those goals down. But before you do that, I want to talk too about, I'm actually wearing 10X hoodie right now. So you guys, most of you guys know Grant Cardone. Remember to go big with these goals. It's so important to go big because we don't even realize what we're capable of. And if you truly apply yourself just by coming to this course every week and doing what I say to do, that's going to be applying yourself probably 10x more than you have prior to now, because you might have been applying yourself but not in an organized fashion. So that's what this whole Multifamily Accelerator course is about, is organizing that. And I want you to be able to 10x those goals, because you might be able to hit them. I mean, you never know. I'm on track to do 1,000 units in my first year. Now, will I hit it? I don't know, but I'll get close. What if I get close, right? And then I just keep going up and up from there. So set your goals high. Remember the 10x when you set them, and go ahead and write them down when you print it out. So next, this one is might surprise you a little bit, and I actually learned this from Grant Cardone. It makes a lot of sense. You've got to be willing to give something up if you want something new in your life. So we've talked about the value of multifamily investing, what it can do to change your life, to change your legacy, to change your family's life, to change your grandkids' life. I mean, this is a big, big, big deal. Multifamily is, and that's why it's so hard, guys. It can be very hard. And that's why it's so important to have a good purpose. But this whole thing is super, super important. And you have to realize that in order to have that in your life, you've got to be willing to give something else up. So I don't know what it is, man. I mean, for each person, it's different. I mean, for most of us, it might be procrastination. For other people, it might be a bad habit. You know, maybe you're overeating or you're drinking too much. Or maybe for some people, it's a hobby or something that is, you know, you just need to give it up so you have the extra time, because it comes down to time and focus, right? So if you don't have the focus because you're on drugs or whatever it is, you've got to be able to give something up. Or you don't have the focus because you're, you know, going to all these whatever concerts all the time, or whatever it is that you need to give up so that you can really focus in on this. I think Grant Cardone used the example, and I know another guy that's done this too, that gave up drinking for 10 years. He's like, he's all, you know, he didn't even have a problem with it, but he's like, it doesn't get me closer to my goal. So whatever you have in your life that you know, and the funny thing about it is right now you know what it is. You know exactly what it is right now. So don't play games. You know what it is. And it's personal, right? It's not like you're going to turn these into me. If you want to talk to me about it, I would be happy to help you. But you know what it is. And it's the thing that you don't want to give up, that you know that you should. How do you know? Well, how do you know it's the right thing? You do. You already know. But the other way to tell is, does it help you get to where you're trying to go? Or does it hinder you? The answer is obvious. It hinders you, correct? So you know what it is. You've probably been trying to do it for a long time. Guys, it's time. Like, this is what clears out the space, the energy, the mental space for you to actually have something new take its place. Like, if you really want change in your life, you really want to be this multi-millionaire real estate investor, dude, you got to give something up. You got to be willing to completely change your life. You can't just have, you know, 100 million assets under management and just be like, oh, I never changed anything. I still have these bad habits, or I still do this, or I still procrastinate, or I still, you know, take 4-hour naps every day, or whatever it is. You've got to be willing to change. And so Grant Cardone brought this up, and he said, you've got to be willing to give something up, right? And in order to do that, one of the best things to do to help you realize like what you want to give up is to just kind of stop and visualize yourself with that goal, right? So just imagine for a minute that you've hit your goals. Like, just take a break and imagine that. And imagine that you've already done it. What does that person look like? Does he still have that bad habit? He doesn't, right? So it's really important that you see how they say it's not about the destination, it's about who you become on the journey, right? So it's what you're giving up and what you're willing to, how you're willing to become a better person, a better man, a better woman, and how you're actually really leveling up as a professional. You're going from like an amateur to a professional. And in order to do that, it's not always what you add, it's what you take away. Another example, I know this video is getting long, but Alex Hormozi talks about how People always think they have to add something to get there. But if you look at the Jeff Bezos or the Elon Musks of the world, it's not what they have that you don't have. It's what they don't have that you have. So let me explain. They don't drink, or they don't spend a bunch of money on something that doesn't get them towards their future. It's what they don't do that makes them successful. So everything in life, we're always talking about adding. It's more important to take away. It's more important to look at what is detrimental in my life. And like I said, you already know what it is. And being willing to say, I will take that away. I know it's hard, but is it worth it? If it's not worth it, then bag it, man. I mean, just stop logging into the course and go on with your life. That's fine. You have that choice. But if you want true change, you got to be willing to sacrifice something. You got to put the bad habit on the chopping table and say, take this from me. I don't need it anymore. I still have urges for it, but I don't want it anymore. So, okay, guys, we've talked about that enough. You've got to be willing to give something up. And then last, I just want you to take a pledge. This is a commitment. And this is just to yourself, because there's no one else that matters. No one else on this whole thing is for you, man. It's not for anyone else. It doesn't matter for anyone else. Now, when you do a positive thing, it's going to affect a lot of people around you. But the whole thing is for you. So this commitment isn't your commitment to your wife or to me or to business or to anything. It's a commitment to yourself that you're worth it and that you deserve this, and that most importantly, you're willing to do what it takes to achieve this. So read through the commitment, take it seriously, and sign it. And after this is done, this video is about over, I want you to print this off and do all the instructions. I want you to put this in your file and save it, because it's a very important thing. I know it's just a piece of paper, but this is a commitment to yourself. This is your purpose. This is your goals. This is what you're willing to give up, and this is a commitment to yourself. So take this very seriously. Take the time now to print it out, fill it out, stuff it in your file, and I'll see you next week.